Jeff fans, what's going on today? How you guys doing? First off, thank you to everyone that called in last night. We appreciate it. Obviously, we apologize for the technical difficulties if you tried listening in live, and we apologize for the two-part show, but plenty of hot takes. Ty, Joe, all the callers, you guys pretty much, summed up exactly the way I was feeling, whether it was, just being numb, depressed, angry, a little bit of everything. I mean, I think that's where most Jeff fans are right now. You look at all the different numbers that are out there. 3 games against the AFC East, Adam Gase has put together 8 points. 6 games total this season, we've scored in single digits 5 times. Some games with Darnold, some games with Folk. There's no excuses, okay? Because we've seen it with Sam, we've seen it, with the backups. We heard the excuses when it was just the backups. Now Sam's in there, and we're seeing the same thing. So it's a problem. How bad they looked, it's alarming. All right, I'm not going to make excuses for it. I'm not going to say, well, it was still only the second game back. When it comes to Sam, I think there are a lot of excuses that you can point to as far as why he played so badly that are legitimate. You look at the offensive line, them not being able to pick up a zero blitz. You got people on Twitter, analysts that have been talking about it for the last 48 hours. That this is something that's been in the league for 30 years, and this is how you stop it. And for whatever reason, Adam Gase and Frank Pollock and Dowell Laganes, they don't know how to stop it. Everyone on Twitter does, but the Jets don't. So that's an issue. Then you go to the defensive side of the ball, and oh my God, where do you even start on defense? The fact that you barely touched Brady all game, minus the one hit by Leo that forced the interception. You barely touched Brady all day. You don't have a pass rusher. You don't have cornerbacks that can locate the football and get their heads turned around. I mean, this is a complete shit show right now. And trying to figure out what the Jets should do at the trade deadline, I don't know. I truly don't know. I don't think they should just sell parts for the sake of selling them. I see plenty of talk about Leonard Williams, about Robbie Anderson. Just get rid of these guys. Just dump them. Well, listen, if we're talking about getting a 3rd-round pick back or, even a 4th-round pick maybe, then okay, you're talking because with those picks, you expect to maybe get like a starting caliber player in the draft. If you're talking about just getting a 5th or, just dumping them for salary purposes, I know Leo's making a lot of money, Robbie not so much, but if you're talking about just dumping them for the sake of dumping them and not getting anything of value back in return, then I think that's where the Jets are being silly. Hopefully, and I know I said this a few videos ago, hopefully Joe Douglas has been doing his due diligence and he has an idea of what these guys are looking for in a new contract. So it shouldn't be catching them off guard. If Leonard Williams is asking for $14 million a year or if Robbie Anderson's asking for number 1 wideout money. I think that's what's ultimately going to separate whether or not those guys are part of the future or if we need to move on from them. If you know for a fact that you're not going to pay Robbie Anderson number 1 wideout money, then you move on from him. Same goes for Leonard Williams. If you don't view him as a $14 million a year player, then you move on from him. Guys like Tremaine Johnson, unfortunately, I don't think they're going to be able to find anybody that's willing to take on his contract, so you're probably stuck with him, which is unfortunate. I know he's going to be a $12 million dead money hit next year, and then I think they could save still like $3 million in the cap. But at the end of the day, you're going to have money next year, so it's not like, you have to worry about, we got to hang on to this guy. They have flexibility. Joe Douglas has flexibility. The question is, do the Jets have to do a genuine rebuild? And this was something that was brought up by a few callers last night. I don't think the team has to completely start over. When you have a quarterback, when you have hopefully Jamal Adams staying here, he should be getting a new contract probably this offseason. And, while we're on Jamal Adams, let's just say really quick, I think everybody's kind of catching on now with the fact that, he's not too happy. He's been kind of, putting out subtle signals about not being happy and about the fact that, he might want out or, the team's been embarrassing, not prepared. You can look at a lot of different things with Jamal Adams and, say the signs are there. And if the Jets don't turn this around quick, it could be an exit for him. I hope not. He's one of those guys that you build your program around, defensive leader, face of the franchise. We've talked about that for years with him. And every time he talks, it resonates. You hear the words he say. You think it's going to resonate with the players. And, he's a guy that can lead a locker room. But at the end of the day, he is also a winner. He's a guy that's not used to losing, not used to being a part of a losing culture. And unfortunately, that's the culture that the Johnsons have brought to New York. The past decade of bad football falls entirely on their shoulders. The reason that the atmosphere at MetLife Stadium on Monday night was terrible, point to the Johnsons. You moved to MetLife Stadium 10 years ago, you screw the fans over with the PSLs, make them pay, $25,000 if you have a lower level seat. Absolutely ridiculous. You killed the home field advantage. You killed the atmosphere. There was about 30,000 Patriot fans in that building on Monday night. They took over that place by the third quarter. It was the same thing with the Cowboys. Even the game that the Jets were winning, Cowboy fans were taking that place over. It's going to be the same thing when we play the Giants. It's going to be the same thing when we play the Steelers. There is zero incentive to go to a football game. And again, I'm a season ticket lifer. I've been going my entire life with my dad. He goes back to Shea Stadium. I go, to the early 90s. I started going to games, I think, when I was 5 years old. And even when the team was bad, when I was 5 years old, it was 1993. The team was bad. The team was bad for a couple years, before Parcells came and kind of fixed things a little bit. Those games were still fun as hell. You knew everybody in your section. You went there, you did your Jets chants, and you had a good time. It was 80,000 Jet fans, pretty much all Jet fans, and you got loud and you had fun. And now it's completely different. People are on their phones, social media, play along on the Jets app, call the play better than Adam Gase can. There's all these, and you have a million different other fans that are in the building too. And everyone's causing fights, talking shit. It's not fun going to a game anymore. The tailgates are still a blast. You go to the tailgate, you cook, you have fun, you go in the building, you do your Jets chants, and then you sit there and you're miserable. So that's going to a Jet game now. And it sucks because, like I said, this is something that it means a lot to me because you grow up, going to with your father to these games and, with friends and family, and you make a day out of it and you don't want to be miserable. Why am I going to spend money to be miserable? It seems counterproductive. But anyway, I'm tired of letting this team piss me off. Hope you guys are enjoying your week. I'm kind of in the same boat as Tyson, where unfortunately, looking at the next, 6-7 games, it's hard to really find any way to get optimistic because even if you beat Jacksonville, even if, you beat the Giants or the Dolphins or the Redskins, even if you win 4 in a row, 5 in a row, and you're 5-5 or 6-5, who did you beat? Who have you beaten? And I think that's the biggest problem. That so many of these red flags with Adam Gase, not being able to beat AFC East opponents, letting Belichick rout him, 58-0 pretty much, if not for the special teams and defensive touchdown off their backup quarterback, in the Patriot games. All these things, they're concerning. Save the excuses where, it's his first year, 6 games in. No, this is different. When you've been in the division for 3 years and you inherit a quarterback that has plenty of talent, and we saw it last week, and that's why I'm very cautious when it comes to Sam Darnold to use the word regression. I hear a lot of people that keep saying it. Look at the way he's regressing under Adam Gase. It's one game. That I'm going to say it's one game because he has a large enough sample size over 7 games where I think he only had 2 interceptions. He had a very high quarterback rating. So I'm not going to say Sam Darnold is regressing based off of one game, but it's definitely alarming, all the things we saw. And like I also said, when he's making those magician type throws where his feet aren't set, his shoulders aren't set, when he's making those throws and, he's actually putting the ball where it needs to be, it's accurate, and, a receiver makes a play, yeah, he looks great. But when it's becoming a thing that he's doing every single play, and, his eyes are locked in on the pass rush, and, it looks like it's happy feet as opposed to just trying to improvise and make something happen, then that's where it's becoming an issue. Then that's where you start to say, all right, what are we doing in practice? Are these coaches really honing in on the things that he needs to be focused on? What's the offensive line doing? That's the thing I'll keep pointing back to. Frank Pollock, what the hell are we doing in practice? Why can't veteran offensive linemen pick up a zero blitz? All of these things are so frustrating. You watch the Patriots and the way that they operate. A bad play for them gets 5 yards. A good play for us, where we break 3 or 4 tackles, gets us 5 yards. Think about that for a second. We have to fight and claw just to get a couple yards on our plays. And guys are never open. For them, their play designs, their schemes, guys are wide open even when we know it's coming. We know what they're doing, it's still wide open. Same thing goes on the other side. Defensively, they show their blitz, we know it's coming, we can't stop it. Those are alarming things that should give any franchise cause for concern. Let alone, of course, the Jets, who haven't been able to get it right in 50 years. So, hang in there, guys. Talk to you again soon. Go Jets.